Jeff, are you and Bill ready? Gentlemen, according to my phone, it's now 5:30, so I will call into session the February 18th, 2026 meeting of the Elwood Redevelopment Commission at 5:30. We'll start with roll call of officials. Bob?
Bob Savage, Jim Ruby,
Greg Casada.
Jackie Lane.
Jerry Danahay.
Tom Austin. So therefore, Bill Savage, we have a quorum.
Yep.
We need to approve 2 sets of minutes. We have the minutes from November 19th and revised minutes, revised minutes from November 19th and minutes from January 21st. Do you have any questions on the contents of those minutes? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve both sets of minutes together.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Danahay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Casada. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, Bill, it's time to pay the bills.
The bills, the claims are as posted or as presented on the agenda, that's correct. So the grand total is $33,178.46.
Any questions on the claims? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims in the amount of $33,178.46. Motion by Mr. Roby, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lane, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Page 2 of the agenda. First item is Dr. Troy Friedersdorf concerning the resubmission of certain invoices. Dr. Friedersdorf?
I brought some visual aids. I asked Mr. Austin this past week if maybe it would be helpful and appropriate to let the committee maybe help understand a little bit of why we keep asking for money. So I didn't bring these buckets to collect money. I just came to show you a few things. And if I could have my lovely assistant, Mr. Bob Savage.
I'm sorry, did you say lovely?
Yes.
not lucky.
Yeah.
Pass out those items.
You can try.
Just a real quick kind of overview of how school funding works these days. We get money from the state in our education fund, and that is funded by our student count. And so that's what goes into our education fund, and that is determined by our ADM, which is our student enrollment. Our students that are enrolled on account day set by the state in October, and then another count day that's set by the state in February. And it's approximately $8,000 per student. We get half of that money from the October count, the other half from the February count. And that money, the state tells us pretty much how we have to spend that money. So that money pays for all of our teacher salaries, all of our textbook fees, all of our educational expenses come out of the education fund. And the state tells us that 65% of this money has got to be spent on teacher salary and benefits. And then they also tell us that what the minimum teacher salary needs to be. And so, for example, 2 years ago, or last year, they raised, the legislation changed the base teacher salary up to $45,000. So we had to raise all base teacher pay up to $45,000. And one thing that is somewhat misleading about that number is if we hire a new teacher for $45,000 and they take our family insurance plan with our payroll taxes and benefits that we have to pay in, that $45,000 teacher costs us $84,000. And everything that we pay into for retirement, for benefits, for insurance. And so we're really locked into 65% of this money has got to go towards teacher salary and benefits. The state will allow us to transfer 15% into the operation bucket. And this is the bucket that we have to use. This comes from property tax. And this is what we have to use to pay for all of our operating expenses, our utility costs, our transportation costs, custodial, maintenance, supplies, repairs, all of that comes out of the operation budget. And then you have the debt service, which is also property tax. But this money can't be used to pay salary and benefits. It can't go to any of these buckets. And basically, it's kind of like a loan for the school. And we have the ability to borrow money, sell bonds, and use the debt service money to pay for repairs. So a lot of the renovations that we did the last 2 years came from debt service to put new roofs, new HVAC systems. And this money is limited, it's restricted by our AV and by our tax rate. So you see bigger school districts that are building multi-million-dollar facilities, they're using their debt service fund a lot of times because they have higher AV and lower tax rates, and so that gives them more borrowing power. But we're very limited in our debt service, and so this money's great when we have it available to us. It's also a use it or lose it. So if we don't borrow, then we can't, that money doesn't, come over into these other buckets. You either borrow to do these repairs or that money's gone. And so the debt service bucket is nice, but it doesn't help us with our operating costs, our daily operating costs. And so the education fund, strictly based on student enrollment, operation, comes from property taxes. And then that's where we get hit, as the city does with the circuit breaker, and now with the Senate Enrolled Act 1, the school system and the city are going to be facing even bigger cuts because of the money that's getting cut out of the operation budget. And so this is where the ERC can help the school with some of that TIF money to give to the school to help with our operating expenses. So I just wanted to share that with you guys and give you a little bit of visual of why we're asking for money. I don't believe that the school, and most schools, I'll speak, obviously we care about Elwood schools, we're not being wasteful with the money. It is a systematic problem with the way the tax laws are written and the legislation that makes it very challenging for us. And so I'm happy to answer any questions, but I just want to give you guys a little bit of a general overview. And then with the request tonight, we made some changes in looking over the changes that were faced with the further cuts with the Senate Enrolled Act 1. We've put on hold some of the library renovation, and in talking to Mr. Austin, we feel that this money would be better spent going towards the student devices and helping offset the costs that we experienced with the student Chromebooks. And so that was the reason for that change there.
The current group of Chromebooks you have, Troy? How old are they?
Some of them are, I think the 8 years old is the oldest. 2 years ago, we started doing a refresh, a third of them every year. And so we have some that are about 8 years old that'll be being replaced now in this next cycle. We replace 3 grade levels, I guess is what it is, not a third.
Okay.
So we're replacing 3 grade levels every year. Makes it a more manageable cost for us budget-wise.
So I'm going to ask you a question that has a certain bias. In your opinion, is it fair to say that the political leadership of this state really has it out for public education and will strive to try to do a lot of consolidation of services? Is that a
Yes.
fair statement?
Yes, it is. And just to give an example of that, you look at Elwood and you say, well, what's the big deal with the state allocating money to private schools in Indy? Well, it limits the amount of education fund we get. And so it ends up hurting our operating costs because that reduces the 15% that we can transfer to operations. So when money is funneled to private schools, even though it's not being funneled to any here in Elwood, it directly impacts us by limiting the money that we get in our education fund.
I think it's pretty telling when Noblesville School Corporation announces some penny reduction in staff and program services. When I drive through Noblesville, I see nothing but buildings going up or apartments and so forth. But they're looking at cutting staff.
Yeah. Yes.
Any questions for Dr. Troy relevant to the request for additional student devices or other items?
So I get your budget is basically mainly dependent on enrollment. How has that trended here over the last few years with school student enrollment? Is that
We've
going
leveled
up or
off the
going
last
down?
3 or 4 years and pretty steady. But we had, just from September to, from October to February, our enrollment dropped 18 students. And so that is, that's over $70,000
$96,000.
that all of a sudden we're not gonna get this year that we thought we were gonna get at the beginning of the year. And of that 18 drop, like we had move-ins, but we lost 18 in the total count. And approximately, I'm trying to remember now, approximately 10 or 12 of those were due to kids graduating early. They ended up graduating early. But then most of the drop, like the families move. We've had families move out of state. And so those are things that we don't have any control over.
Yeah.
We actually had, this happened this year and it happened last year where students actually move with a different family member and then they're in a different school during count day and then come back to us the next week. And that other school gets the money for them. It's whoever they're enrolled with on count day. And so we have that happen.
So Jeff, this is the point in the agenda that we're going to be asked to approve a proposed resolution.
Yes, and the final language of the resolution is not in front of you, but it would be effectively the same as the one you saw at the last meeting. There's been a couple of changes, some suggested by the school, which I have accepted. The latest. Oh, yeah, good. You do have it. It's,
We've all got it.
okay, very good. That was done late this afternoon, so I didn't know if it got to you. But, that's a resolution, and your 2025 TIF revenues through the resolution you passed in 2025 was already pledged for this project. We asked the school for, not out of any petty reason, but for our own reasons for tracking for the State Board of Accounts to show their work, which they did. And so now it'd just be a matter of adopting that resolution. Like I said, the 2025 Commission already has approved the expenditure of the funds, and this lays out the methodology by which they'll be paid.
this is resolution 2026-0201.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Have each of you had a chance to look at this resolution? Feel free to ask questions of Dr. Troy while he's here, or Jeff. By the way, Dr. Troy, I like this chip. I assume it's been they're circulating around the community in some way.
We gave them to all of our staff opening day this year.
Oh,
as
good,
well, yeah.
good, nice. Is there a motion to approve the proposed resolution?
I move we approve this resolution.
We have a motion for Mr. Donahue, is there a second? We have a second for Mr. Roby, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, Troy, for coming tonight.
Thank you all very much.
I got one question for you.
Yes, sir.
Does the parents help on these computers at all, or is that strictly involved by the school system?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Does the parents help on the laptops?
No.
None at all?
No.
Didn't they used to?
I mean, state law.
They did, they used to, yeah. And that was part of, we went away from that when the textbook legislation came down that said that schools couldn't charge for textbooks any longer. And so that went out with the textbook fee.
So the Chromebooks were under that, or you guys just went ahead and?
We went ahead and absorbed that cost, yeah. The state made a change, which again, is great for parents. You know, I paid lots of textbook rental fees for all my children. And the state made that change, which was great, but then the schools ended up having to absorb that cost, so they didn't increase the funding to the school to offset the textbook fees.
50% tip rates.
Thank you, Dr. Troy, for coming this evening, appreciate it, good luck.
I'll leave your signature.
Okay. Okay, the next item, Bill, is Brian Cross.
Brian's here.
A status report on work on the Flanagan property. Welcome again, Brian.
Thank you. Wow, a Chamber of Commerce day for me, so yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
If I may just distribute these. An exhibit. I think you have the exhibit already. Okay. These are just smaller versions of design plans showing water mains and sanitary sewer. Give you an idea graphically what is in the works. Yep, you've got that exhibit as well.
this one.
Great.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Sir?
Give them that info over here. Thank you. I'm also fighting a recovery from a respiratory, so bear with me a little bit. Again, Brian Cross with Simple Site Group. We have been working and collaborating with the Elwood Utility Department, specifically more recently with Josh Ginder and another third-party consultant, Cecil Whitaker, regarding sanitary sewer on the project. The design is complete. We have everything ready to be submitted for permits, items, as well as NDOT. Some other new questions came about regarding potential land user or land use change from a buyer that might be looking at the property. So that resulted in a conversation we had to have with a bigger question regarding downstream capacity conditions, I think which we outlined previously when we did analysis on the area about 2 years ago. There's a limiting condition with the existing lift station that serves that area for sanitary wastewater. Most of the utility department knows it as the McDonald's lift station. And once an additional 12,000 gallons per day is put into that existing McDonald's lift station, there would have to be some upgrades and improvements to that. So that knowledge and knowing that would trigger that, the Flanagan property to be developed, would limit a portion of what could be developed on the Flanagan property until you reach that 12,000 gallons per day, which could end up being, 30 residential units, commercial use, or hotel. So we embarked on a kind of a more master plan question. It probably makes sense to replace and take the McDonald's lift station offline. And Josh at the utility department also agreed with that. It's because of the age of it and the condition of the, having to maintain it consistently. Now, those conversations, which are more forethought and planning for the future, aren't part of the project we're working on directly, but it makes sense to, have those conversations, understand, how it would be a better benefit long term. So if we just look at a micro development for the Flanagan property, the water main design and the lift station and the sanitary force main connections is complete. Our next phase is to get easements from existing property owners. And the exhibit you have before you there kind of just wanted to outline, the different ownerships of property that these utilities would have to cross in order to make the capital improvements.
So how do you take the McDonald's lift station offline? And I know it doesn't impact the operation of McDonald's, it's just,
Yeah.
what does that mean, offline?
So basically, we will have to look at installing new gravity pipes in the location from the lift station backwards, and then flowing into the new system in the Flanagan property.
So you're gonna eliminate the lift station altogether?
Yeah, Josh and Cecil both were, yes, they're advocates of that. Yeah. Anytime you have an opportunity to eliminate the lift station, you eliminate long-term maintenance and costs. And, yeah.
Yeah. So the elevations don't work out?
Well, the proposed lift station we have is 36 foot deep. Yeah. So it would be deep enough to take in the gravity from that area and serving those existing businesses in that corridor right there on the Red Gold Transport Drive. The wastewater would still end up in the same spot, but it would be redirected to the new lift station.
So there will be a new lift station in a different location?
On the Flanagan property. Not, yeah, but
Yes.
the McDonald's lift station would be,
Where we talked about it
Yeah.
before? Okay, yeah.
Bill, make sure I'm right here, the McDonald's lift station, as they call it, is that the one that's over by the north of the Asian restaurant?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
so again, it does have some capacity now to function as you bring other buildings and uses online, but at some point it will trigger, improvements to be made. And it kind of seems to me in long-term planning, why not take it offline in the future? But that would require additional capital improvements to make that happen. It's not part of this project.
So do you have projected cost and timetable yet?
We don't have projected costs yet. These plans, as we finalize these, the next step with easement acquisition would be to put some preliminary budget numbers together, along with, in the future, putting out a bid. We did a geotechnical investigation, location of the sanitary sewer lift station. So the drilling was about 40 feet deep, and we did not hit any groundwater. Soils are very cohesive, and it's surprisingly the best boring for a lift station you get. Sure, Mayor.
Commissioners, I did meet with Cecil and Josh last Wednesday regarding the lift station that is called or coined the McDonald's lift station, and I do concur with Brian on what next step as commissioners is to take this plan and talk to Chief Mark Sullivan, who's here in the audience, and then also Glenn, to make sure they sign off on what is being done, whether that's the hydrant placement, if that's the water line size, so that we can continue to capitalize on future growth in that area, and just not build for one aspect of just the Flanagan property and the development there, but for future growth, so we don't have to go throw good money on top of that. So it'd be my recommendation that with the help of Brian, talk to Chief Sullivan, get his approval, along with Utility Superintendent Glenn Murray and Wastewater Supervisor Josh Ginder, and get their approval. And then once we feel comfortable with what they approve, then we go ahead and spec it out, put it out for bid, and then we know what kind of price we're looking at on a project. Brad, is that fair?
Have they seen these, Todd?
Saul, have you seen that?
Not the original.
So he hasn't seen it. They put their recommendations in, but they haven't seen the final project. So that's where they're getting their approval first and then moving forward. Thank you.
So if we're looking forward for further growth and whatnot, there's a possibility that 10-inch main would have to go bigger?
I think 10-inch would be as big as we would go, right, Saul?
It's the current main that we would be tying into the southwest corner of the intersection of 28 and 37, which is the McClure station. That's a 10-inch main. It's existing 10-inch.
And that was the size-wise that Chief Sullivan was comfortable with for fire protection.
And we already decided to upgrade for future growth from the original plan, right?
Yes.
Chief, do you have anything to add?
No, not really. I mean, I think we're on the right course. I think in years past, we kind of just finagled and hurried up a process, and that's why we're stuck with just a 6-inch main out there. I've been here 26 years, and that water issue has always been an issue on that corner. So really, I'm just kind of more involved in this project to make sure that the next chief in 30 years doesn't have to deal with what I've dealt with in 30 years, you know? And it's nobody's finger pointing. I'm just saying, to develop land, we need to make sure the city's ready to develop that with the capacity of utilities that we need out there, where in years past, we would just throw water at it, even though we didn't really have enough water to protect that. When they put in the strip mall out there by McDonald's, we put that out there knowing that if we had a fire out there, we would have issues with getting enough water to put that strip mall out. I'm here to prevent us putting in a really nice 55-room hotel that we all really enjoy, that I'm gonna have to turn off the sprinkler system when I get there so I can actually have water to fight a fire. So that's kind of where Glenn and I come in, because we're trying to change that as far as the next generation doesn't have to worry about water volume in a certain area. We've got plenty of room to grow to, because right now we're seeing growth on that corner, but we're years behind on our actual water volume and our sewer volume out there at that corner. So we're trying to catch up to what we should have done 20-some years ago. So
Who's on that 6-inch main now?
everybody's on that 6-inch main. You're talking the strip mall, the seed plant, the new hospital, Wendy's, Rosen's, they're all on it. McDonald's is the only one that has their own main, but the rest of them are all on the 6-inch main. So if you look at it from a fire's perspective, if you lay out a garden hose and you keep branching off of that thing, how much water are you gonna have out of that hose? And that's where we're at out there. We've only got one 6-inch main that feeds that, and it doesn't even loop. So we're only drawing off that 6-inch line, and we've got 5 big businesses out there. So this is
Is it tied into the 10-inch over by McClure?
Yes, yeah, the 10-inch would come bored underneath there, Brian would know, and he's plans, but it would tie into that 6, loop it, and then it increases our volume, so we actually have enough water to fight things out there.
So the 6 would be dead and.
No, it's still remain.
All it'll still stay.
Yep, we actually have 2 feeds now, instead of one 6-inch garden hose coming in, feeding everybody, we've got another 10-inch coming that feeds everybody too. So now we've got 16 inches of water volume coming to a specific area.
So Brian, you may not be aware, but there is a strong potential that the Flanagan property is going to change owners. And so therefore, your work would continue unimpaired, and you would still be working for the city, in terms of the infrastructure development. It's just the land that you're working with would be owned by a different party.
Yeah, sure, and we're used to that in land development with the aspect of the land use plan also may change. I mean, locations of things, you know, the dynamic of that was one of the things I wanted to make sure that we covered was the density and the waste load that would be coming from the property. And it has increased with a new land plan and land use that I was given information on by 12,000 gallons per day. So we have to plan for that part of it, as well as, like the mayor said, you know, future growth of that area, which would also entail future annexation.
And it's my understanding that you have met with David Turk and Tyler Hyatt. Have you met them?
I have not met with them. We've been communicating via email.
Okay, but you're aware
Yes.
of what's going on?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have not provided any direction to them yet until we were certain we had the right answers from the wastewater department.
Thank you.
And you're comfortable with us keeping with this project, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's best that we prepare that area, not only the Flanagan property, but also the entire 2837 corridor for future development. So oversight by the ERC is critical. Then we'll have a lot of shovel-ready sites at that point that we can just go in and start developing.
Thank you for coming this evening,
Yeah,
Mike.
absolutely.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add while you're here, or?
You mentioned the connection, the new 10-inch water main from the McClure corner will go all along the west side of 37, and the existing 6-inch that goes along the Red Gold Transport Drive, they will connect. There will be a live connection, a wet tap on that. So like the chief said, there will be a huge benefit of increasing pressure and flow in that area, which was what we studied 2 years ago, and what we recommended is what we're designing today.
Are you gonna connect the 6-inch main from McClure's to McDonald's? That goes under 28 to the fire hydrant, just northwest corner of McDonald's? Originally, that was put in, and then it was gonna be planned to loop around and connect with the 6-inch line. But we didn't have the funds for it.
Now, we'll make the connection at the Red Gold Drive with the new 10-inch into that 6-inch there. That was extended.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
I think what you're talking about, Bill, also, the McDonald's put that in, so there'd actually be keys to take McDonald's from going underneath that. We'd also have to get right of ways for the eBay property and
Yeah,
stuff
McDonald's
like
put it in my request, I don't think there's any fees with it. I was involved with the whole planning operation, I asked them to put it in, and they did.
They paid for it.
Yes.
But we just also dealt with that in Roslyn with Wendy's too. We wouldn't have, they wouldn't owe.
I don't think they
McDonald's.
included any future
Yeah, I don't know.
things, but anyway, it's just.
So the next tasks for us really are just to, like the mayor said, we're gonna collaborate with Chief Sullivan, Glenn, and Josh to continue that. Let them get their eyes on these plans, make some tweaks as needed. The easement acquisition phase is probably gonna be turned over to legal. We'll do exhibits, you know, for that part of it. But there are, you know, roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parcels that need easements from outside parties other than the redevelopment commission. So, and that might be something, if you are considering a transfer of that property ownership soon, that, you know, obviously we make them aware that easements are gonna have to be, you know, granted on that property.
Okay. Anybody else have questions for Brian?
I mean, this is nothing that's gonna have to be discussed about now, that we thought, I talked to Todd about it, and Mark also. We thought it was a good idea, is take that 10-inch and just go ahead and take that little snippet up to that next road with a hydrant, just for future use, or future development. Yeah. Right here, yeah. Because if we have to go back and do it again, it's gonna cost us more money than if we just do it while you're doing it.
You're talking about where we currently show it terminating, which is
Yes.
the end of the Flanagan
Yeah,
parcel.
going to the other end of that triangle, yeah. 'Cause that road does go back, if you too behind where the complex is gonna be.
No,
So, you know, that would make a real nice loop, you know.
So Brian, would it be reasonable to ask that you stay in contact with Bill? And when you believe it's time for another update before the commission, ask him to schedule you on the agenda of that meeting?
yeah, I would say 2 months from now, be
Okay,
ready to,
that'd be great.
yeah.
Okay,
Thanks so much.
appreciate your time. And good luck. Christie, you're next up on the Valentine building.
Good evening. So I wanted to come before the commissioners this evening and kind of talk about the Valentine building. I've shown it the past, however many months it's been, to 9 different potential buyers. Some of those potential buyers I've shown it to multiple times. We've been back out there multiple times. This last one, I was pretty certain that they were gonna buy it. I was pretty certain. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case at this point. And every person that I've shown it to has had the same feeling about it. It's too much to take care of, to get it where it needs to be just the building. And so I'm not sure what the solution is, and maybe the mayor has some thoughts, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention that this building is just gonna continue to sit there. And I don't know how many of you guys have actually been in it and seen the condition of the inside. I know a few of you have, but it's a lot. And when they start figuring, I mean, when they were doing the feasibility study on it for this last person, it's too much. They can go somewhere else and buy a building similar a lot cheaper because of the cost to take care of getting it to where it needs to start it to be usable, if that makes sense.
So Commissioners, as Christie said, she's shown this building several times. When we acquired that property more for the real estate than we did the actual structure. The current asking price of $375,000, which is what we have in it, is what we were selling it at. It would be my recommendation for the commissioners to look at possible demolition of that property, and let's look at selling the real estate instead of the building. If that comes to the point of demolition, we would have to bid that out because we couldn't do that in-house. That was a corridor that we really wanted to revitalize, but we didn't want to revitalize it with industrial. We wanted to make it commercial, retail, residential, those type of things in that area to make that corridor very welcoming and inviting. We didn't want to park dump trucks and trailers and sheds or whatever they used to, silliness they sold out of it. We wanted to really clean that up, and it would be my recommendation tonight for the commissioners to consider with the possible demolition of the Valentine building and then selling the real estate, and you could parcel it out or however you would think to get back your $375,000, $350,000, whatever we have in it, including the cost of demolition. The utilities will be there with Brian's last conversation. I think it has more value to us as a non-standing building than it does anything else at this point. Mrs. Clark, if there's anything you'd like to add?
No? I think that's probably what we're looking at this point, because the amount of money that it's gonna take you to get in there and clean it out and do what you need to do to get it to a shell, then you have to have the right buyer for that, and then you have to think about the cost in addition to the $370,000 or $75,000 that you already have in it. So I think it makes sense.
I think with, the potential development of everything else around there, that if you parcel that out, you're gonna get you're gonna be money ahead. Having empty lots for businesses to come in, turnkey to sell what they want to do,
That are shovel ready, that's key. One of the things that is a drawback on that property, there is a shared easement, there is a shared drive on the side closest to the Star Bank ATM. So at that point, when we parcel it out, we would need to work with NDOT on some ingress, egress, and get our own drive leading to that additional secondary drive leading to the commercial developments or retail developments, in addition to the one that's already existing, and then just go ahead and let the owners of the existing drive have that and move on.
And I will add that the people that I've shown it to have been from Delaware, County, Hamilton, Marion County, and then someone from Frankton. So there have been multiple from Hamilton County. So there is an interest. I mean, people want to come here and they need something like that, but it's just,
And may I ask, what were those businesses? What were they, I mean, types of business? What were
okay,
they?
so one ironically was a professional racing team that wanted a headquarters, and, let's see, what else was there? Oh, auction. And one of them was actually my, son-in-law and daughter, and they were really interested. They have Shepherd Auctioneers just right outside of town, and the volume of people that they bring just for their pickup when they do an online auction is incredible, and probably only 5% of them are from Elwood. They're from everywhere across the state and even from neighboring states when they come. So, I mean, these businesses that I showed it to, there was, landscaping was one.
And the vision for the landscaping, they were gonna do a showroom inside, and show patio work, show, different things that they do from mounds and, hardscape, thank you. I'm short on words on that one, but, I'm never short on words, but, it was something that they just couldn't figure out. The inside of the building and the cleanup just didn't, justify the purchase.
So Jeff and Bill, if we put this out to seek quotes for demolition,
Yes,
give us a snapshot of the timeline in that process.
you could probably have it approved at your next meeting.
Approve the quotes.
Get it right out
Yeah.
immediately, request them.
Bill, have we dealt with any demolition people that can handle that big a thing before?
Yeah, well, we don't have Joe Miller anymore, but, yeah, there's out of town. Several of them, yes. With the BEP program, we had demolition, people, so.
Yeah, it's too big a job for us to do it in-house, so it definitely needs to be did. And, there's gonna be some, concrete blocks that are coming down, we'll need to use crushers and do some different things that we just don't have the capability of doing, so. Yeah, however, we need to advertise those bids, Jeff and Bill, if that's what the commissioner's direction they would like to go.
Alan's using demolition contractors.
There's people that can do that.
Okay.
So the two of you are comfortable with the demolition. It appears Jeff and Bill are. Alan, you say you have some contacts?
And LA, we tore down buildings and those.
Then I guess it would be proper to ask if anybody on the commission would like to offer a motion to seek quotations on demolishing the old Valentine building. Motion by Mr. Roby, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Casada. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
thank you.
There you go, Christie. That'll give you some sense of direction.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Next up are appraisals of the Elwood Golf Links Clubhouse and Pool House. Bill or Todd, that's you, one of you.
They've all got information on appraisals.
Yeah, those appraisals, commissioners, were to get an idea of what it would cost for acquisition of the existing clubhouse of Elwood Golf Links. Obviously, we own the, golf course, and it's just the buildings that we don't own that we're currently paying rent on. Elwood Golf Links has, experienced its best season yet in 2025. We currently have a management agreement with Cohoe O'Neill that, costs $125,000 annually. With the, profit sharing that we do with Cohoe, that number has been reduced to, I think it's gonna be $83,000 this year, is all of the cost for the city of Elwood to operate the golf course, with the management contract. So they're doing very well. We continue to lower that number and, invest in the golf course and do great things. So the request was to look to see how much it was going to cost to acquire the clubhouse, the pro shop, and the bathhouse. We do have an easement that, grants the city access to the parking lot for golf purposes for eternity. So when the appraisals were done and it included the parking lot, there was some question of why are we including this, why are we not including it? Tonight I just recommend that the commissioners take under advisement the appraisals and we move forward from there at this point, not necessarily go and try to acquire the pro shop and the clubhouse, but just take it under advisement so we know how much the two appraisals and what the median was of those two, or were of those two, and move forward from there accordingly. Maybe in the next meeting I may have some more ideas,
That's all the old business, Jeff and Bill, is that correct?
Yes.
New business, review of offer to purchase from ECDC and that 12131 North State Road 37. That is the Flanagan property. All of you have received a copy of the offer to purchase. Mayor, would you like to offer commentary on this?
I do. I think that this offer to purchase is a tremendous opportunity for the Elwood Redevelopment Commission and the city of Elwood to move forward with the development. We've owned that property since December of 2022, and we have never had an entity come to us and want to acquire the entire property for development. There would be calls to Mrs. Clark's office for an acre here or 2 acres there, but it was never to acquire the entire acreage for development. And I don't think that there's a better fit than the Elwood Community Development Corporation with their proven track record of developments that they have done with the St. Vincent Mercy Building, the Red Gold Medical Facility, the Cadet Building, and Mr. Austin, I'm sure you could add a couple more.
Well, we've always been involved with Jackie in terms of the Gypsy Soul Building.
The Gypsy Building, so there's several developments that the ECDC has done that has a proven track record that they've been great community partners. The golf course was a major, they were the sole funder in the golf course and partnered with the city, or we wouldn't even be talking about golf today and Bison Ridge and all those great things that happened after that. So it would be my recommendation tonight that the commissioners approve the offer to purchase of the amount of $450,000 to the ECDC. As we heard that Brian Cross and Civil Site will be getting the utilities ready for shovel site ready developments out there. I believe the ECDC has already have some suitors for a lot of the property, and that it would make sense for us to go ahead and sell that to them, get it active on the tax roll, and collect $450,000. Mr. Graham, is there anything you want to add?
Yes, the ECDC would qualify as a community development organization or community development corporation, which significantly streamlines the offering and of the property. Generally, we would have to go through our offering sheet and 2 appraisals and things like that. When a community development corporation is utilized, and the last time we used that was on the Leeson's building back in the day. The Redevelopment Commission sold that to a community development corporation out of Louisville. This one is a lot more local, but all we have to do is do 1 appraisal, and the appraisal can be done by an employee of the department. And there are no publication requirements or anything like that. So in other words, this thing can move at light speed compared to our normal tortoise pace of getting rid of property. But we'll need some paperwork from the ECDC that just confirms their IRS status. And then Bill or anyone else in the department could do an appraisal, and down the tracks we go.
So what you're saying, Jeff, is that if Bill does the appraisal, then by the March ERC meeting and the March ECDC meeting, this transaction can be finalized.
We could be ready to sign all the documents necessary to move to closing.
Good. Great news.
Yeah, and the advantage of that is we have a track record of the ECDC investing back into the community and their nonprofit organization, so.
Yeah, and you're gonna, this corporation will refer the economic development. I'm sorry, the ERC, I'm redeveloping.
Get your alphabet right.
Yeah. We'll receive $450,000 of unrestricted funds. You can use it on anything.
Which is more than we paid, right?
That's correct.
50%.
Well, we paid $400,000.
So yeah, you made about 15%.
You guys, did I give this to everybody?
Yeah.
So effectively,
Email.
we can't be good at development, you're handing it over to somebody who can be.
And that's the whole key for the Redevelopment Commission, Bob, you're exactly right. We held this property since 2022. Let's give it to someone that's got a proven track record of success for development. There's several other projects down the pipeline that I would like to utilize some of that funding for that could enhance some residential development, obviously commercial development, retail site in Bryan Cross, getting the utilities ready. Mrs. Clark has shown the Episcopal Church property or talked to different individuals about the Episcopal Church property. That will probably be the next one on the radar that we look at selling to a potential developer.
Well, the ECDC meets tomorrow at 4:30, so they'll get a report on the action taken this evening, so they'll be very happy to hear that. I thought John Burnett, our president, would be here this evening, but did Mike call in?
He did not. Johnny's just running on time for John.
Yeah, he'll walk in about time we're leaving. Anyway, great news. Thank you, Mayor, for clarification.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Jerry, do you have something to say?
The ECDC really helped us a lot to regain the golf course years ago. If we didn't have that amenity at that particular time, we might not even have the golf course or whatever else we got out there.
Absolutely, you're 100% correct. If it wasn't for their partnership to regain the golf course, golf in this community means so much more than just hitting a little white ball. It helps the school corporation. It brings people to this community. It helps civic organizations have fundraisers where the Owen Fire Department just announced today that they put several $1,000s back in the community from the fundraisers that they have hosted, and then all that money is staying right here in the city of Elwood.
So I was always taught to help the guy that helps you, and they helped us. Now, I think we can help them. We're both organizations is there to make Elwood a better place to live. And so if they make a little money off of it, so be it. I think that's what they're trying to do, and I think it's great. This motel that they want to put up, this has been going on for, I know, probably 5 years. My wife was living there. We all, Mike and I and his wife went out there to see this motel, and it's been a long time. So
You were guinea pigs, Jerry, to make sure you were comfortable with it, to go out there and it was nice.
right. So they got the energy, they want to do it, eliminate our budget to do all this groundwork, and that would save us a lot of money if we let them go ahead and do it.
Absolutely, it's an exciting time in Elwood.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Mayor. Bill and Jeff, is there anything else for the good of the cause this evening?
I think it'd be appropriate to make a motion to memorialize what we just talked about, to direct Bill and myself to take the steps necessary to bring this to a possible vote for next meeting. We're not committed to anything, but send us down that direction.
Yeah. Is there a motion to support Jeff's comments?
A motion.
Motion by Greg. Is there a second? Second by Tim. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. I think our next meeting is on March 18th at 5:30. Anyone in the audience like to make a comment? Any commissioner like to make a comment?
I will probably be in for it on that meeting,
Okay,
hopefully.
okay.
But we'll
Godspeed.
use the telephone.
When's the next meeting?
Just call me, March 18th. Or no, Jerry, I'll call you. Jerry, I'll call you.
Okay, all right.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn at whatever time it is? 6:24.
So moved.
Okay. Second. Second. Thank you very much for your time. I need to sign something.
Jackie needs to sign.
Yes, exciting. property out there developed? Pardon? Absolutely. You know him, by the way? You know him like that?
Kind of a pain in the ass.
That's just, that's what I was talking about. Now, I know exactly what you're talking about. And you'll probably see him before I will, just to make sure you know how I feel about it.
So you know all his sayings. Jen is when he dies. I mean, it's gonna be funny.
I can't wait. Well, no, I didn't mean to say that.
I'll probably.
I may still.
Mary, you still have your copies of Clay's building out of the park, or do you need Clay's building out of the park that we approved like 500
Oh,
I probably have someplace.
You wanna come to the one in case you aren't go digging for it?
That'd be great.